me call Toastmaster Gloria Cow for the invocation.
Am I the one?
Taking the role of Miss Chato.
Invocation ba? I thought oath of
No,
allegiance.
I am the invocation. I'm sorry. I think I'm the one.
Oh, si baby.
All right.
Si baby ang
All right,
invocation.
let me call
I think I got the closing prayer also.
And the Pledge of Allegiance is
yeah.
Chato, ate, I think.
Thanks.
All right. So let me call Toastmaster Baby to lead us with the opening prayer.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Let me share with you a short insight about self-awareness and rectitude of intention. Life is a journey. We each have our journeys. How clear our vision would depend on one's perspective. Let us remember to let God preside over all our plans and purposes. God should be the end and motive of all intentions. On some occasions, the person who is always seeking the approval and applause of others can easily deform his own conscience. A wrong intention destroys the best of actions. The deed can be well done. If it can be beneficial, but since it is corrupted at source, it loses its value in the eyes of God. So prayer. Dearest Lord, help us to be the person we want to be, alert, cheerful, enthusiastic, and energetic. Help us in time management and assignment of priorities. Help us have a clear vision of our end. And in your hands, we put every work and every deed that we do. Help us not to slip into the habit of looking for rewards here and below. Let us use our lives with your wish and your wish me to. Amen.
All right, now let me call Toastmaster Glo for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, thank you, President Grace. Can we have the slide, please? Carmela?
Carmela, can you share the slide for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Okay, good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Let us all together recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's all raise our right hand. I am a Filipino.
I am a Filipino.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the Philippines
I pledge allegiance
allegiance
to the flag of the Philippines
and to the country it represents,
and to
and
the
to the country
it represents.
with honor, justice, and freedom.
with honor,
Our
justice,
justice and freedom.
That is put in motion by one nation
that is put in motion by one nation
Put in motion by one nation.
for the love of God, people, nature, and country.
for the love of
The
God,
love of God, people, nature, and country. Yay.
Okay na? All right, so thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Glo. All right, as we proceed, now, before we proceed with the rest of our program for tonight, first off is I'd like to warmly acknowledge our guests for tonight. So first up, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Toastmaster Pao Piñon. Hello, Toastmaster Pao. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here tonight.
Toastmaster Pao, may I know pala what is your norm?
I actually
And from what club are you?
I'm from NTC Toastmasters Club, and I just finished my level 2 in pathways. From I don't know what is my norm after that, so I will still seek help from our club because I just joined the club recently. Thank you.
See. All right. But what is your path, Toastmaster Pao?
Visionary communication.
I see. Okay. All right.
Welcome, Pau.
Welcome, Toastmaster
Thank you.
Pao.
Thank you.
And also, I'd like to also acknowledge the presence of our general evaluator for tonight. Is she here? Oh, there! Are you home na, Toastmaster Marini?
Yeah, I'm here already.
Yay!
Hey.
Nice to meet everyone. Thank you for having me in Toastmasters, Supreme Toastmasters.
Thank you for gracing our meeting tonight, and we can't wait for your talk in a while. All right? So welcome to Supreme Toastmasters Club. And also, I'd like to welcome as well our guest for tonight, perhaps a future Toastmaster. Hello, Miss Cheryl Custodio. Hello. All right.
Miss Grace,
Hi.
good evening.
Hello,
Hi,
good evening.
Cheryl.
Nice to meet you. She
Nice
is
to meet you po.
Yeah, she often comments. I'm glad to finally meet you. She often comments on my Facebook post. So thank you for following my page. So there, I hope that you enjoy your visit here at Toastmasters Club. In a while, you will learn a little bit more about what Toastmasters is about. All right.
Okay po. Thank you.
All right.
Welcome.
Now, now that we have acknowledged our very much welcome guest, okay, we're supposed to introduce a Toastmaster of the evening. So I would like to introduce the Toastmaster of the evening, who is none other than me. All right. So as the Toastmaster of the evening, it is my task to make sure that our program runs smoothly tonight, and hopefully we finish on time. So first up is, let me tell you what Toastmasters is about. So I'll just share my screen. Wait, one moment. Wait. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right.
You need to share, yes.
All right. So, so Toastmasters International is the leading movement devoted to making effective oral communication a worldwide reality. So it started as a series of speaking clubs organized by Ralph Smedley back in October 22, 1924 in Santa Ana, California, USA. So Ralph Smedley is the founder of Toastmasters International, and he's famous for a lot of quotes, but one is he said that whatever your grade or position, if you know how and when to speak and when to remain silent, your chances of real success are proportionately increased. And in the Philippines, Toastmasters was organized in 1939 by Ambassador Mauro Barradi, but was short-lived due to World War II. And in December 6, 1952, philanthropist Teodoro Calao organized the Tamarao Toastmasters Club, the first Toastmasters Club in all of Asia. So welcome to Supreme Toastmasters Club. It's the club number is 7740 District 75, which is the Philippines. It was established on April 3, 2001, and having the charter president, Toastmaster Baby Doble. And membership in Toastmasters is the greatest investment that you can make on yourself. It is one of the most cost-effective skill-building tools available in the world. And in Toastmasters, we learn by doing. And as Ralph Smedley also said, we learn best in moments of enjoyment. And in Toastmasters, education is our business. So that's what Toastmaster is about. All right. Now, oh wait, I'll have to share my screen again. Sorry. All right. So our theme for tonight is tell your story. So we will delve more, a little bit deeper about what telling our story is about. But there's one thing that I've learned in Toastmasters about telling stories. I've learned here that facts tell, but stories sell. Often as a health professional, oftentimes deemed as an expert in terms of nutrition. Before, all I had to do is to tell facts and figures. But I figured that these facts, numbers often bore people out. But when we attach stories to these facts and figures, we encourage people to listen. So, which is why in Toastmasters, we are encouraged to also share our stories because through our stories, we can connect with people more. And also, for someone like me who is nervous in public speaking, sharing a story from my buckets of stories is also one good way of overcoming my fears in public speaking. All right. So without further ado, let us start our program. Let's keep the ball rolling with our word of the day, with our educational session, with our word of the day. So Toastmaster Carmela, the virtual floor is now yours.
Thank you, President Grace. Could you please share again your PowerPoint? Tonight's word of the evening, tonight's word is esoteric. It's an adjective and it has several meanings. The first definition of this is esoteric is designed for or understood by those with specific knowledge or training. Could also be described as to mean difficult to understand. So it's could be understood only by a limited circle, something private or confidential, or of special, rare, or unusual interest. So to use it in a sentence, esoteric could be used as this. The judge's decisions were difficult to parse because they were loaded with esoteric legal terminology. So probably a synonym of this is something like a jargon. So esoteric. Anyone who wants to volunteer and use the word esoteric in a sentence? All right, if not, then I will volunteer our guest evaluator, Toastmaster Rance.
Thank you. Esoteric in a sentence, she cannot divulge the wait. She cannot divulge the information because it contains esoteric. Do you call this? Wait, I was lost. Okay, let me rephrase that.
It's okay.
Okay. She cannot talk about the company's interest because the document contains esoteric information about the organization. That's it.
Well done. Thank you, Toastmaster Rance.
Sure.
Can you call on another one? What about Miss Emmeline? Would you like to use the word esoteric in a sentence? Miss Emmeline? All right.
during this last few months, we have encountered so many experiences that are esoteric. It's quite mind-boggling and hard to explain. But it's just amazing that we are still here. We're still alive. It's just amazing.
Thank you, Toastmaster Emeline. Anyone else who would like to give it a try? What about Miss Glo, a Toastmaster Glo, for the for the last use of the word esoteric?
Esoteric. He was avoiding the sense of something too esoteric.
All right.
That's it.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Toastmaster Glo. So I invite everyone to use the word of the night, esoteric, every time you speak or if you have a chance to speak. And that's it for my task as a.
SOS.
I'm sorry. Miss BB, you're on mute.
Two of our members cannot enter, John and Flo. Can we help them?
Okay. So I will do the technical assistance. For now, I will give the floor back to our Toastmaster of the evening and president, Toastmaster Grace. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Carmela. All right, so now we are done with our word of the day. So keep in mind, esoteric. After our word of the day, we'll go to our also one of the most exciting part of the meeting, which is the anything goes. So I believe Toastmaster Glo prepared something for our anything goes for tonight. So Toastmaster Glo, take it away.
Thank you, President Grace. Let me share my screen. Okie dokie. I cannot share my screen. Can you make me as one of the co-hosts? For me to share
Toastmaster Carmela, can you allow Toastmaster Glo to share screen? Thank
I
you.
prepared a very simple game. This time, how well do you know some of the beautiful spots in the Philippines?
Wow.
Okay, I cannot still share my screen. I need to be
It's okay
named.
now.
Ayan, I was assigned co-host na. All right. Now, let me share my screen. Here goes. Wait, where is it? Okay. Here.
Do we type in the answer?
Yeah. I will tell you the. All right. Here we go. The rule of the games is all of you will type in your answers in the chat box. Okay. Naming the place and the city where that place is located. Okay. So, number one, here, very, very easy. Okay, so 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, nawala. Wait, let me go back. All right. Here, now let me go to the second question. One of the beautiful spots in the southern Tagalog. Bakit ganon? How come my cannot be all right. Here. Are you guys okay? Can you see the picture?
Yes.
Yes.
Wild
Alright.
guess.
Okay, third. All right. Ang hirap, not difficult. And I'm sure all of you have visited this nice place. Sorry ba't nagaganon? I really don't know. Bakit ganon, Carmela?
I don't know.
Huh? I don't know. Why?
What are you using, Viber?
I'm using, Viber. Kasi I did not, the file is too big eh. That is why the file is too big. Kaya I cannot share it in my messenger. Okay, this is the fourth picture. Okie dokie.
I know the province only.
Okay, difficult, right? Very, very
Oh.
easy. Okay, let me go to the fifth picture. Ayan.
Oh.
I'm sure all of you have visited this very
Oh no.
monumental cities and places that we have in the Philippines. Okay, so the next one, sorry ha. If somebody, alam ko na the problem here is
Somebody
if somebody
messages you.
send a message, nawawala siya. Pero konti lang naman to, it's okay. So, the sixth picture. Sorry, ano ba yan? My gosh. Okay. Sixth picture. At least you have time to answer. Okay. This one, all right. I'm sure you all visited this place also. When you visited that place somewhere in the city of
Smiles.
Korea, the city of smiles. Okay. Ayan. Matatapos na. Konti lang to. Okay, this one. Ayan. All right. Sino ba yan? Is that Venus?
Oh. It's the
Or Aphrodite? You know, these are all beautiful spots wherein you need to fly out from Manila to go and visit, okay? Here, the second to the last picture, sorry. So many messages coming in. Ayan, okay. This one, second to the last picture. Okay. If you are fan of adventure, you definitely had visited this place somewhere in the north. Ayan, panay. There's a lot of clue given. And of course, last but not the least, this one. Okay? So there you go.
Oh wait, that's the
friends.
street.
The top 3 that will have the most correct answers, I will be sending a prize to Grace and it will be sent to you. So that's all, folks. I will give you the answers later. I will give you the answers and the winner. So there you go.
Yay! Thank you so much,
Top
Toastmasters.
3 will receive a prize from me tonight.
Yay!
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Josh. Thank you for somehow breaking the ice for tonight's meeting. And indeed, it was short, but it's nonetheless exciting. All right? Okay, so I think all of us are excited who will be the winners later. So please remind me to award the winners later.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I will. Okay.
All right, so moving on, we have another exciting session for tonight, and which is also one of my favorite, which is the educational talk. Now, for our educational talk for tonight, we have invited a guest all the way from Cebu. So, our educational speaker for tonight was a former model in Cebu and also a former production designer of ABS-CBN's Araw Gabi teleserye. So I think most of us are aware of this teleserye from ABS-CBN. She was a filmmaker and director and now an entrepreneur who started her own film production company. She is also a Toastmaster of Midtown Toastmasters Club in Cebu. So let's always welcome Toastmaster Marini Fernandez.
Hello, everyone. So I think I have some technical problems. So could you give me like around 5 minutes? Would that be all right?
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Sige. Hold on.
while we are waiting for Toastmaster Marini to set up her presentation. Wait.
Maybe we can go to table topics.
Okay. So while maybe we can proceed to the table topics and then we can shuffle our schedule for tonight. So while waiting for Toastmaster Marini, we are giving you enough time for your preparation of your
Thank you so
educational
much. Appreciate
session.
it.
All right. So what we will do is we will proceed with our table topics for tonight. So our table topics will be headed by none other than our charter president, Toastmaster Baby Doble. Toastmaster Baby, take it away.
Good evening again, fellow Toastmasters. Just recently, I attended talk of Pat Quinn and Pete Vargas. I don't know if you know them, but they're the best in sales and marketing in the world, I think, in the world. And I learned about tell your story. They say that in sales and in marketing, you always tell a story. So, Mela, shall we share the table topics? Table topics for those is a long-standing Toastmaster tradition. It is the most exciting and daunting part of the Toastmasters program. It is the only impromptu speaking portion. It is speaking without preparation. It is thinking and speaking on your feet, and it improves confidence and impromptu speaking skills. Express your thoughts clearly in 1 to 2 minutes. And after 1 minute, next slide, please. Here. Time allotted per speaker is 2 minutes. 1 minute, you will see the green light. After 1.5 minutes, you will see the yellow light. And after 2 minutes, you will see the red light, and you're given 30 seconds to wrap up your speech.
I will be the timer, by
So,
the way.
okay. So let's skip the rest of the slides. So they call this the 3 acts play, and this was given by Pat Quinn. So here goes. The 3 acts play. You tell about the before of your story in 45 seconds. You tell about the pivot or what you did for 30 seconds, and the now or after in 45 seconds. Make sure that your message is clear. Of course, clarity is number 1, and always remember that in sales and in marketing, you tell a story, and then people are encouraged. So the message has to be clear. Any volunteers? Personal story. I'd like to call Volonturo. Where is she? She's gone. There, Emilyn. Emilyn is a total salesperson. So I'll give the floor to Emilyn. In 2 minutes, tell us your story.
When I left for America, I thought I had the American dream. It was so exciting, but just to find out that it was so depressing in America. It was so lonely because people are just working and it's just not much of a personal relationship. I was so lonely. I searched for God in so many places, in every church, name it, I've been there. And one thing I was so happy was finally, after 4 years, somebody invited me to find out more about the Bible. And that was the time that my life turned around because I realized that was the missing link in my life, having a deeper relationship with God. And I had to fly all the way to America to search for Him. And today I'm so happy that I came back to the Philippines because I know I have a new dream. The dream is the Filipino dream to build our nation and to build our countrymen. Is that okay?
Thank you, Emilyn. Thank you, Emilien. So her dream was found in America. So expensive to find that dream. So is there any volunteer? Maybe I'd like to call a dear friend, Gloria Cow. Tell us your story.
My story. Thank you, baby. My story. I am a provinciana who came to Manila to look for, to study and continue my self-supporting studies. I persevere and I really work very, very hard. And I finished my college degree in the University of the East, took the board exam, passed the board exam, and then got a job, but not as my profession should have been. I became a sales manager in one of the engineering supplies that supplies all the chain of national bookstore. And then my fate turns, I bumped into a classmate who sold me a policy, for my eldest son. And that was the first policy that I bought from Sun Life. And then I saw my advisor, so gorgeous, always postura, vain. She had a driver. Every time she comes to visit, she came to visit, she would give me a cake and everything. And then I told her, hey, I would like to join you. Would you mind, introducing me to your boss? Unfortunately, she did not, she doesn't want competition because she knew me as somebody who's go-getter also. So I did not stop, that did not stop me from pestering her. So fortunately, one day she took me in, and then that's where my Sun Life story began. So good evening.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Can you let us know how many how do you call them?
Policies
You have in
or
your company?
advisors? Well, right now,
Advisors.
advisors, I have 300 advisors under my team, and
Gee.
and I was able to span off 2 branches already from my branch. So, and planning to spin off another 7 branches in the next 5 to 10 years. That's it.
OMG. Congratulations, Glo. So
Thank you,
there's the
baby.
story of Miss Sun Life. Who would want to do the third? Let us hear the third story. Any volunteer? If not, I will volunteero. Renz, Pau, would you like to tell us your story?
My pleasure, man. Have you heard about HPAIR? HPAIR. This one stands for Harvard Project for Asian and International Relations. I failed to succeed in joining the international conference for 3 times. But then I always said myself that since I have learned about this international conference, I will do everything, whatever it takes. And then I joined business leadership conferences in the Philippines with the Ayala company, group of companies, Aboitiz group of companies. And in 2018, I applied again for that international conference and I got a full scholarship. The reason why I wanted to join the conference is because I believe that international conferences like HPAIR, it helped me to become grittier in pursuing my endeavors in life and inspired me to work for a bigger purpose and not just for the money. And that purpose allowed me to help to continuously strive in making a difference, not just in our country, but also in the world. Because I believe that the connections that we have, no matter how small or big they are, we are all interconnected regardless of our labels. And that experience allowed me to have a global perspective and made me realize that I am not just a citizen of the Philippines, but I am actually a global citizen. And it is my duty to ascend my efforts, not just for my own life, but also create ripples of hope and revolution around us. That's my experience. Back to you, Toastmaster baby.
Thank you so much, Renz. Paulo.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
H pair. My daughter went to H pair in 1997.
Wow. It's a great experience, really.
So
Mm.
yes. Any other volunteers?
I'd like to go.
Marini?
Yes. So we just talk about our story. Do we? I wasn't able to catch the first part of the question. Is there a question?
Well, no, this is a 3-act play that I
Okay.
learned last week. In the first 45 minutes, let us know about your before.
Okay.
And then the
Okay.
next 30 seconds, seconds, it's pivot, what you did. And then the next 45 seconds, what is now, after? What is your now?
Thank you.
Let us hear your story, Marini.
Thank you for that, Toastmaster baby. I have always been someone who was fearful of the choices I have been making, the choices of going to college, the choices of choosing the course that I'd always thought that I wanted to take. Earlier, when I was younger, my parents have told me about becoming a doctor, taking my medical degree, and like going to med school, going to a good med school here in Cebu, and just pursuing that path of medicine. And for so many years, I had that belief on wanting to become a doctor, wanting to prove to my parents that I am enough, that I can be what they want me to be. But later on, I realized that it's not so much in what you do that makes a difference, but rather it is what you do at that certain point that makes a difference. So I happened to take up a degree in filmmaking after I went to college in De La Salle University, taking up BS psychology, supposed to be going to that path into medicine. But I decided to shift my course and go into filmmaking because it is what I wanted, is what I loved. And now I am happy with what I'm doing. I really see hope in the media industry. I see light in it. I see the beauty of inspiring other people through the world of media. So now I am grateful that I have that opportunity to share and to make a difference in the world. Thank you. Back to the table topics master.
Thank you, Marini. Now first we had Emmeline, Glo, Renz, and Marini. So that concludes our table topics portion, and we will hear the evaluations at the evaluation portion of the program. Thank you for joining, and it was nice hearing your stories.
Thank you, Toastmaster Baby, for leading us with our table topics for tonight. So for the benefit of our guests, table topics is our way of practicing our impromptu speaking skills. So professionally, get asked about we often get asked questions, and it's our way of practicing how to answer questions more effectively. And thank you to all who participated. Thank you for sharing your stories. And indeed, we often talk about facts, but these stories are the ones that sticks with us. And as Toastmaster Marini said, inspire people through the media and also through our stories. All right. Now that we're done with our table topics, we will now proceed to our most awaited educational session, which will also be led by our general evaluator for tonight. So she will take on the role of the leader for our educational session for tonight. And she will be talking about camera projection. And I've already attended her webinar on this, but I'm also glad and I'm happy to hear it all over again. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give our guest tonight a warm round of applause. Toastmaster Marini.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me here at Supreme Toastmasters Club. And I appreciate Miss Baby for inviting me to share my knowledge, to share a little bit of what I've been giving towards my friends in Toastmasters and friends from other places in the Philippines. So tonight, I will have a short and very brief presentation on camera projection for online meetings, which we can include in our Toastmasters meetings. And this topic can really help us dive into the world of camera projection for online meetings. So the first topic that I'd like to talk about tonight is the camera positioning. And for the camera positioning, we'll be talking about the eye level and the half body mid shot. So let's start about cameras because it's important to really know our cameras, really dive into the soul of our audience. So by doing that, it's best to really learn about the camera and how it is, how we're able to talk to the camera so we can really project towards our audience. Especially in Toastmasters, we are now doing Zoom meetings every week, every twice a week, every month, twice a month, and even 3 times a month for Supreme Toastmasters, I've heard. And for this one, it really helps us dive into that. It really helps us have that knowledge. So we'll be talking about that in a bit, and I'll make this really quick. So the first recommendation that I would recommend would probably be a DSLR camera, or if you don't have that, I would recommend using your cell phones because cell phones are have really good cameras and it can really help you have that good visuals. So we'll be talking also about the frame and what it is. And if you don't have a tripod, then I suggest using maybe a stack of books or a cabinet or anything that you have at home, which you can put your cell phone in and you can let them see it, let the audience see you through the frame. And this is just another tip that if you want to opt to use a DSLR camera and a tripod, then I would recommend a capture card as well. But we won't dive into this. If you don't have any of these, a phone, a camera, and a tripod, or a stack of books will definitely help you. So now let's talk about the different camera positions. Now, if we look at the left side of the screen, we see here a low angle shot. And a low angle shot is where your camera looks up towards you. So in another sense, it means that the audience have a feel of superiority towards you as the subject. And here on the right side, that is a high angle shot, which means that the camera looks down to you. And this gives a sense of inferiority of your audience. Um, and it gives a sense of your audience feeling superior to you rather, and you being inferior to your audience. So we don't want this in online meetings because it doesn't give an equal sense with your audience. Are you have a feel of inferiority, you have a feel of superiority, so you don't want that. So what you actually want to achieve is this. Now, this is an eye level shot, and we use this a lot in movies. And with this shot, it's where your camera is positioned right to your eyes. So it's eye level to from your eyes to your camera, to the lens of your camera. It's eye level. So that just means that it gives the idea that are equal to your audience, and you are equal to the people online meeting. So we want to achieve this. So as much as possible, I would suggest, if you don't have a tripod, then I would suggest using a stack of books, or making your cameras, at least if you're using a laptop, that's fine. Put your laptop on top of a stack of books so that it could be eye level, so you can see it, you can see your audience, and your audience can see you directly, and they can relate to you most. So this is the shot. And next we have an eye level shot. And an eye level shot is the best part to include the eye level shot. The best partner for the eye level shot is actually the half body mid shot. And the half body mid shot is just like what you see in my frame. So this is actually from the waist up. And this way your audience can see from your tummy all the way up. They can see your face, they can see it clearly, they can see you, and you can have your message spread across them in your audience. And finally, for camera positioning, these are the tips that I would suggest. So your subject has to be always in focus. So if you're using your cell phone camera, you can click on the subject. You can let someone sit down, or you can actually click on it so it can be the front camera, and that way you will be in focus. So we always want to become in focus, because if we're not in focus, it's very distracting. If especially if your subject, or you as a person speaking in front of your camera, if you're not in focus, it's very distracting for your audience. And also, the second one is to not have too much headroom, and not to have too little headroom. The third one is to have correct exposure. Now, what is this headroom that I'm talking about? The headroom is basically this space between your head and the frame, or the top of the frame, this one, this part of the frame, you see this? So you want to have at least just enough headroom. If you have too much, so the space looks too much, and that makes me look small, and it doesn't make doesn't make the speaker, or you as a speaker, feel that you can relate to your audience. So what we want is just enough headroom, or enough headroom space right here. So that way it also gives a sense of meaning. It gives a sense that you are not distracted, that your audience will not be distracted by your visuals. And also, I would suggest not to shoot against a wall. So what that means is you're here, and then behind you is just the wall. And especially if you have a light, the problem with that is that it causes shadows. And you don't want shadows, because it looks like it's a mugshot. So it just looks like, you know those cameras, those pictures rather, where you're in the jail, and then you're holding something, so, and then for your number, and then stuff like that. So you don't want that. It looks like a mugshot. So what you want is just enough headroom, and at the same time enough depth of field. So right now here in my room, I am around 5 feet or even more, so 7 feet from the background. So that way I have enough depth of field and space towards the background. So finally, we have the don't put your subject too high in the frame, or you'll have too little room, too little headroom. So you shouldn't have enough, you shouldn't have too much, too high in the frame. So what you want is just enough headroom. So I guess that's it. So finally, the third tip that I would suggest for today would be to have correct exposure. So here on the left side is the underexposed shot, and here on the right corner is the overexposed shot. That means for the underexposed, there's less light. You don't want less light, because you will be distracting. You won't be seen, and your message won't be spread across. What you want is just correct exposure, correct lighting, just enough lighting so you can be well lit. Right now, I'm not actually using a light, or a light or an external light or a camera light. I'm not using any of the lights that I recommended before because we are staying in a hotel right now for family vacation. So now I'm just using an overhead light and it's well lit in my face. So as you can see, it's correct exposure. And it's not too bright, it's also not too dark. So this one is just a combination of all three if you're using a DSLR camera. If you're not, then it's all right, it doesn't matter. Okay, so now the recommended for lighting is actually the the light that I would recommend to you would be a video light, or if you have a softbox, that's best. But if you don't have that, a ring light would be the best solution for you. So the importance of lighting really tells the audience where to look. So right now, if you can see in my face that it's well lit, and that way the audience can really relate to me, that can really make my message spread across to them. So that way, the best way that you want them to really look at you or like get you what you're saying towards them, or get your message spread across towards them, is to have good lighting. So that's what I would recommend. And in movies, we use this a lot to tell visual moods, storytelling, and a sense of meaning for the audience. So these are the kinds of light that I would recommend. So a softbox, the softbox is actually just a diffusion place where the bigger the light source or the bigger the softbox, the better the light is in your face. It's not harsh. It's just soft. It's just enough light, enough amount of light. So right now I'm not using any of those. I'm just using the normal light here in the hotel room. So I don't think we will be talking about this. It's just the positioning of the light. It's usually just from your camera, 45 degrees of that, and then your light looking down to you. That way there is a sense of squareness, triangular part here, and it just makes it look more appealing to the eye. So we won't be talking about that. Now let's move on to good audio. And I recommend a good microphone if you don't have one. I recommend using earphones or a headset, but headset is kind of distracting to the audience. So I would recommend earphones, and then you can hide it or something. But if you don't have that, then I recommend using a microphone or investing in a microphone. And this microphone is that I would recommend, or the one I'm using right now, is just less than 1,000 pesos. It's around 200, 300 pesos. But we won't be talking about that. And good audio is very important because it just makes your message spread across towards your audience. So I think this is the mic that I would recommend. And in terms of that, always have a tech check beforehand. I apologize for not having a tech check earlier. I just came from a shoot, and then now I arrived here, and yeah. So I guess that's it for camera projection. But I'll talk about a little bit about, if I have more. Do I have time? If I may, I would like to talk about a little bit about voice projection for cameras.
Yes,
Do I still
please.
have time? Okay, great. How
4
much time?
minutes. Yeah, 4
4
minutes.
minutes. 4 minutes. All right, great. That's perfect. Thank you for that. And so now let's talk about voice projection in front of camera. So we at Toastmasters, we're very, very used to speaking in front of stage, talking in front of stage, and projecting our voice in front of the stage. And the reason for that is, especially when we're in Toastmaster meetings or we're in events, we would project loud so that the person at the end of the room can hear our voice. They can hear what we have to say. They can understand what we have to say, especially if the speakers are not loud enough. So you want to project your voice to the end of the room. But here in online meetings, here in Zoom, we don't recommend that. The reason for that is that your frame, your camera, and your microphone can hear and can see everything. So the lesser you're able to project, the more that people would want to listen to you. So, what I mean by that would be explained in a few minutes or in a bit. So, the camera doesn't need to hear you from the back, it hears everything, sees everything within the frame. So, the best way to really use it, to really project your voice, is to whisper. You know, sometimes we want people to hear what we want to say. We want them to really go near the camera, really go near their speaker, so that we can let them hear what we want to say. Most of the time, the best thing we can do is when we have to emphasize on something, then you can whisper it. The less is definitely more. You can whisper what you have to say. Like, for example, with this one, I have a secret to tell you guys. Are you ready for the secret? Are you? Are you? So you
Yeah.
notice that, like, when I minimize my voice, people want to listen to what I have to say. And it just makes it more appealing, more emotional, more interesting to hear. And at the same time, if I speak like this, if I want to really project, it gets a little bit too loud for your speakers. It gets a little bit too loud for the person who want to hear you in front of the screen. So what you really want is just to speak your normal voice. To just be natural, be yourself. That way, it's easier for you to get your message across. And the more emotion that you put in your speech, the more emotion that you put in what you have to say, the more people would want to listen to you. So, with that, that's my secret. Whispering and less is definitely more. So, moving forward, I will not go into this 12 tips of Michael Caine because I will just go a little bit. And Michael Caine is actually a well-renowned actor in Hollywood. He has been in Batman and a lot of other movies. I'm not sure if you know him, but this is him in the photo in the slide. And he's taught a lot about acting, a lot about camera projection, a lot about camera acting in front of the camera. So we'll just go through this really quickly. And one of his tips, which is really important when you're speaking in front of cameras in online meetings, is once you're in front of the camera, nobody exists except the other person in the screen or the person who is going to listen to you. So right now, I am alone in my room and there's no one here. Nobody exists except the camera. And the camera is my friend. And you need to really look at your camera. You need to really look into the lens of your camera and really tell your camera what you have to say. That way, they can hear, the person behind the screen can hear what you want to say and listen attentively to what you have to say. So I think the best tip that I would from Michael Caine would be really, once you're in front of the camera, nobody exists. It's just you and the camera. And also the third, let's move forward. These are just some tips. I'll just go through them really quickly. So less and less, the lesser you are doing your voice projection, the more it is. So in film, we always say that less is more. Less is definitely more. The lesser you want to say everything, you want to say your message, the more impact it actually brings out towards your audience. So I guess those are the tips that I would suggest from Michael Caine. And yes, I guess this is it. And this last one is acting is reacting. So in terms of the camera, when you want to just be yourself, it's just really just reacting to the situations in that on a meeting. So I guess that's it. So look at the camera lens, don't pace back and forth too much, do small gestures or just little ones. And I guess that's it. Relax and record yourself. So yeah, I think that's it for my camera projection meeting. I'll just leave you with this homework, and that is to make bad videos, be imperfect, watch yourself, and repeat until you improve. That way, you're able to just have fun and like be yourself because you are unique. So thank you for that. I really appreciate this online session, and especially in Supreme Toastmasters. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So let's go back to the Toastmaster of the evening. I hope everybody learned a thing or two in my training, or like little discussion. So yes, back to the Toastmaster of the evening.
Wow, thank you so much, Toastmaster Marini. All right. Well, I'm gonna share you a short story. I attended your talk at Soroptomis Ortigas. I think that was February 13. And just a few hours after that, I delivered a talk at a webinar, and I applied at least 3 of your tips. And apparently, that webinar experience is one, if not my favorite experience ever. Because at the end, what stuck to me was that you said just be yourself and be natural. And I applied the framing and the background, and I can't help but I keep watching my my performance, because I'm a very critical with my performance, and my performance during that webinar is something that I'm proud of myself. So thank you, Toastmaster Marini, and I hope the rest of the Toastmasters tonight and also our guests learned a lot, because I think this has becoming a norm, speaking in front of the camera. So really, this skill is valuable not just during this pandemic, but I project that it will be a very valuable skill beyond, not just in 2021, but beyond a few years, even after a few years after the pandemic. All right. So thank you again, Toastmaster Marini. And now you can focus on your role as the general evaluator. And moving forward, we only have 2 prepared speakers for tonight. So that will be our next session, which is the prepared speakers. So our first speaker is none other than, wait, let me show you my screen. All right. So our speaker for tonight will present his dynamic leadership level 1 project 2 speech 1, which is to present a speech, receive a feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. So this is her first speech of this project, which is about evaluation and feedback. So the time allotted is 5 to 7 minutes. The title of her speech is Do Life Differently. Her evaluator is Toastmaster Stephen Mo. Is Toastmaster Stephen here? Not yet.
I don't
So,
see him here.
okay. Toastmaster baby, can you be her evaluator instead? Yes. Toastmaster baby.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay, so her evaluator is Toastmaster baby Doble, and our speaker is Toastmaster Emeline Uy Tessie. So Toastmaster Emeline Uy Tessie, do life differently.
How has your life changed in the last 11 months? Nobody was prepared for this pandemic. Suddenly, our lives were never the same. We used to go to the malls and hang out for a few hours every Sunday afternoon just to do shopping, just to have a lunch, to have a stroll in the malls. But today, we just rush into the malls as fast as we can. We try to be home because we don't want to be exposed. I thought moving to Davao was a big change. 10 years ago when we moved there, I thought that was a big change for me because I don't know anybody. I just know that I have a product that I want to share to everybody. It was a new, it was a new world. I didn't speak Bisaya. I didn't know anybody. We just have a few friends from church. But because we believe in what we were doing, we decided to stay on for the next 9 years. And that was so exciting because everything new would also give us a new perspective in life. Suddenly, because of this pandemic, everything that we used to do is no longer the way we used to do things. When people die, they just die alone. When people grieve, they just grieve for a day or two or at home. When my daughter went to school, she is enrolled in Manila, but she's studying in Davao right now because she's online. Everything has changed. But there are some things that never change. Our love for our family, our love for each other, our friendships. I think this is the time for us to express our love and care for all of our family. Sometimes people just need to know that there's somebody who cares. Sometimes people just need to know that there's somebody missing them and wanting to talk to them. And I know that this is our time to shine. This is our time to realize that what is the most important thing during this time is we realize how precious life is. We realize that we need one another. We cannot do this alone. We need technology to be able to communicate just like this. And what's the most exciting part? This morning, I had a meeting at 6:30 in the morning, and my business partner from Tennessee was there. Isn't that exciting? Because of this technology, we can meet our friends all over the world. We can meet them faster than before. When we had to fly by planes, we have to spend so much money just to visit them. But now, in a flick of a finger, we can see them and communicate our love. We can be with them and celebrate moments, precious moments that we know we may never see again. Today, I choose to do life differently. Let's connect and stay connected because we care and because life is short. Let's enjoy doing life differently. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Emmeline. Indeed, let's do life differently.
Differently.
Yes, because we are living in sort of a different world now that we are in the pandemic, and it has been said that this new normal, we might not even go back to our former normal, but we will might be having an entirely different normal. So yes, let's do that, do life differently. Thank you, Toastmaster Emmeline. Now, moving on, we will proceed with our second prepared speech, which I will be sharing the details on my screen. So the title of his speech is Math X Love. So the speech project is Presentation Mastery Level 1. Wait, project, I think this is project 4. The objectives of this speech is to practice how to manage a difficult audience. So earlier, during the meeting, we have assigned different roles to our club members. And the time allotted for this speech is about 12 to 15 minutes. And there will also be, do we have a question and answer portion after this, Toastmaster Brad?
No.
Yes, there will be.
All right. Okay. So the speech should be around the entire session, from the speech to the question and answer portion, should be finished within 12 to 15 minutes. The evaluator of this speech is Toastmaster Pao Pinion, Visionary Communication. The speaker is Toastmaster Bradford Cow. The title of his speech is Math X Love. Toastmaster Brad, take it away.
Okay, there. That percent. You can see, everyone can see my screen, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so timer starts now. So There was a very important holiday like around last week, the other Sunday. Does anyone know what that is?
Valentine.
Valentine's. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to
Valentine's.
say
It's a
Chinese New Year.
Yeah, that was my
yes.
wedding anniversary.
That's great to hear, Toastmaster Gloria. So, for like you and a lot of people, it was Valentine's, a day to celebrate love, admiration, and friendship. But for some other people, it's actually Single Awareness Day, or as I like to say it, SAD. It was Single Awareness Day for me because I wanted to promote, me being single in a world where everyone was dating someone and had someone. And for the first time in 20 years, it actually bothered me. And why is that? Because I'm so used to being surrounded with couples, but now that I'm in quarantine, I actually don't see anyone. It actually makes me wonder, am I ever going to fall in love? And as
Well,
well, same.
talaga ba?
And as an academic student
Emmeline,
studying,
are you a global citizen, Emmeline? Emmeline.
yes, maybe. We are, especially with the advent of technology, we are now global citizens. So, but even then, I still question myself, will I ever find anyone? And that is when I started to proceed to find Hannah Fry. And she discusses to her TED Talk that there are actually mathematical evidences and studies about different ways of finding the one.
Oh.
And me
I
supporting all
love
of
it.
the, yes. So with me supporting the other single people, the few single people in our group, I would like to show you 3 tips on how you can mathematically find the one.
Hey, Grace,
I don't.
Yes.
were you able to send all those biscuits that I gave you?
I still have to send one more
Yes, I got one.
You have to
for
finish that, my dear.
yes, I
Yes.
Finish
will.
it, send
I have
me.
no biscuit.
Yeah.
I don't have no
Yes,
biscuit.
Tomorrow,
Toastmaster Gloria.
tomorrow I will be
We'll
sending
send
them.
it. Let's send all of it
Because
soon
you
so
were
we can also
absent.
show our love.
Because you were
Yeah.
absent.
Yes.
Yes. So among different ways of showing love, apart from sending wafers, the first one is actually to not look your best. How
Huh?
does that make me
But you're
feel?
looking your best now.
I'm not looking my best yet, Toastmaster baby.
OMG.
So what made you
Really?
say
OMG.
that?
OMG. That is not
So
his
there's
best, huh?
so there's this app. There's this dating website. It's called OkCupid. And what actually makes this site interesting compared to other platforms is that this
Nella, Nella, that's for
Noted.
you. You
yeah,
see that? Okay, Cupid, Nella.
Toastmaster
Noted.
Gloria, would be okay if I asked you to to help me out, flesh out this presentation. So
Okay,
for
okay.
example, what do you see in this graph? Yeah. So
Ah,
this graph,
I
this
Biglang
this
natahimik.
I
so
cannot understand
this
this
graph,
graph,
yeah.
Bradford.
So
Probably it's not my time.
mm-mm, yeah. So I'll tell you what it is. So Toastmaster Gloria, this
Yes.
graph is showing you how attractive some people are rated to be on the platform and how many messages they receive. So
Mhm.
of course you expect it, right? When you have more attractiveness, you'll also get the same like a number of messages. But then an interesting statistic is that why are there people who don't get as much messages as other people when they're just as attractive, right?
Mhm.
And it's kind of baffling because what's the point of being attractive if you don't get any messages? And what
Perhaps you're not friendly.
yeah, perhaps. But then what the mathematicians actually discovered is that because the people who are rating the girls, they feel like they have a better chance of dating someone not as pretty because they receive because they think they have a better shot with them.
Mhm.
Ooh. So
Mhm.
it's actually more important to highlight the things that will make you different and unique. Because even if you polarize some people, you're more likely to attract people who are actually your match. Even if it means that it will turn some people off. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Look your ugliest then.
You that yes, Toastmaster Carmela, looking your ugliest may be a strategy that you can use in the future. So tip number two. So now that you have all of these, guys flaunting for you, how do you make sure that you pick out the one that is actually the best for you? So because it's so tempting to pick, the first guy that goes to you. But when you think about it, is that actually the best strategy? But mathematicians say otherwise. They actually recommend you to do the optimal stopping theory. And what is that? It's essentially what you do is that you pick the age that you want to start dating and the age that you want to get married by. And at the 37 point, so between ages 17, for example, between your two age points, that's the time that you look for the best one.
Hi, Stephen, you listen to this. You listen to this, Stephen.
Yeah,
And
Mela,
you,
you
yes,
listen
John.
to this also, Mela.
yeah, we should all listen to this because this can be very helpful in the
John,
Is
future.
this published? Is this backed by science?
Yes, this is mathematically proven by Hannah Fry and numerous other mathematicians at the UK.
Really?
Can try their
Published?
best,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah. So for example, you want to get married. For example, Toastmaster Stephen, you would like to start dating at 15 years old and you would like to get married by 35. So what we will do is that we'll map it out here and that we will then calculate the 37 point, which is approximately around 24 years old. So that means from
Stephen
15
will
to
date at
24
40. Stephen will date at
yeah,
40.
yeah. So if
Adjust the formula.
so we can adjust it to any way you like, Toastmaster baby. So yes. So for example, you want to get married by 35. What you do is that you dump everyone that is before 24 years old.
How rude.
And then hello, yes. You dump everyone before 24.
Baloney.
And when you finally get 24 years old, that's the time you actively pursue someone and really
Dump.
think,
I
am
Why
I
don't
dump?
going
believe
Why dump?
this.
dump?
I
Yeah,
don't believe this.
you have to
That's
dump
It
bad.
someone.
cannot be
That
scientific
is
because you're
bad.
playing with
That
emotions.
is
Yes,
bad.
When you fall in love, you use
yes,
emotion. It
yeah,
Yeah.
cannot be mathematical.
yes.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
why I don't
Toastmaster
believe
baby.
this
I
guy.
Dumping
agree.
is bad.
Love
This
is
is the
very emotion, but there are
oh
also
my god.
scientific basis that allows us to perform the best way possible,
I don't
such as
believe
this
in your
one.
scientific.
Yeah. So that's why it's key to start dating as much as you can before 24 so that by the time you're 24, you'd really know what kind of people that you would
Ay
like.
nako, Stephen, you're very late.
Mela, better start now.
It's as seen here. So, your odds are higher when you follow this. So that's why Toastmaster Baby and Toastmaster Gloria, this is very effective. So
Really?
37% is the
Really
key
now.
time.
Really
Yes.
now.
Yes, Toastmaster Baby. So you can send this to them also. And lastly, I think it's important to really cover how do you stay married to the person that you did choose to commit to. People think that it's because of genuine relationship that's why couples last. But in reality, yes, Toastmaster baby, is there something that you would like to play?
Chato, there's a new
Wait,
word,
Baka ano
Chato.
ah.
Chat, Chato
Yeah.
dear. Global citizen. I love it.
Yes. Toastmaster Gloria, is there anything you want to share to us?
I
in
just
relation to
wanted,
the topic?
no, I just wanted to talk to
Oh,
Chata because she was late.
What is
yeah.
up with
Okay.
chat?
Don't ma-
She was
Yes.
late. I was just updating her.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So we can also update each other later so that we would
Yes,
be able
yes.
to so that everyone would be able to listen. So
I'm
thank you,
Okay.
listening
Toastmaster
well.
All
Gloria.
Yeah,
right.
I'm listening well.
Yeah. So what actually determines whether a relationship works or not is how positive or negative each party is. What do I mean by that? So the more positive you are, the lower risk that you have. As you can see here, the closer you are to 45 or positive in general, the less risk you have. But the more negative you are, the higher your risk is to get divorced and consequently have an unsuccessful marriage.
Oh, yeah, I
And this
agree.
is yeah. And this is based off these formula. So this is how it's calculated. But then the key thing that you have to remember here is that it's the last one. The husband's influence on the wife and the wife's influence on the husband. Because this metric will allow you to determine
I
how
suggest you
each
don't use this mathematical computation.
yes. Because that's why it
You
can be
cannot play
very
with
challenging.
emotions.
Yeah, that's it, but it is that I mean it can. That's why I'm trying to show it to you how it can, and it can and it's manifested here. It's this equation describes how the couple that are most open to communicate are the ones who actually succeed, and not necessarily the ones who are willing to compromise, who are willing to adjust, and most importantly, who are willing to only rely on their emotion of love. So yeah, so you have to make sure that when you're together with a couple, you're actually together to open to not let go anything
Man.
unnoticed, to really go for each and every step, and to make sure that you together have a communication that you would be able to fix the relationship over an extended period of time. So, frankly, I have no idea on how they date. Never had a girlfriend, no Valentine's, no dating experience, no anything. But then, if there's one thing I want to show you, each and every one of you, especially you, Toastmaster Stephen, you have a chance. Okay, happy dating. Any questions?
Happy
My
dating.
God.
All right. So the floor is now open for
Open
the question
question
and answer.
Q&A. Does anyone like to ask any questions?
Yeah,
I will
me,
start.
Brad.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm giving the floor to the single lady.
sige.
So I want to
Toastmaster
know
Carmela.
where is
Okay,
this published?
oh, this was actually published in the University of Oxford. That's where Hannah Fry, the mathematician and
Yeah.
behavioral economist, works with.
Is that peer reviewed?
Yes. So this
Really?
theory, wait, is that theory? Sorry, I didn't hear it. Theory
Is that
what?
is that a peer reviewed journal where they published that
Yes,
article? Is it a single
yes.
article or multiple articles?
Multiple articles. The equation has actually been used to determine the relationship between the Cold War between the US and the Russia.
I
So
wonder if the researchers are single themselves.
oh the
I
researchers are
find
also
this I
taken.
find this weird because when you
Yes.
talk of love, there's always emotion. So when
Yes.
you're doing it mathematically, where
Mm-hmm.
does emotion, come in?
Emotion comes in the nitty-gritty, because even though we have mathematical evidence of what is the perfect relationship, it really still depends on the two of you to make it work, and that's something that even math couldn't solve.
So it's
Probability.
basically not mathematical.
It's based on
Yeah.
probability.
It's based
It is still mathematics,
it's based on statistics and odds.
statistics, and
Well, it
Okay,
depends
here's a
who
mathematics.
were the
question.
participants.
There's a question here from the chat. Would love to hear your past relationship stories on this where you apply the study.
Yes,
So
based on
yeah,
experience.
Never
yeah.
had a girlfriend nga eh.
He just
Sorry,
Never had a
admitted he's loveless.
girlfriend.
But you
sorry,
have
that's
to.
not
Yeah, Bradford just admitted he's loveless. He never dated.
Loveless.
Yeah, Bradford, I'm going to introduce you to some ladies.
Online na lang, online
How
dating na.
old are you,
Go
Bradford?
create okay Cupid account.
Okay. So thank you, Toastmaster Gloria, for referring me. I'm waiting for my wafers and also a girlfriend in the future. So
Okay.
thank you
Gloria,
so
are
much.
you his
If
long
you're
lost
absent, you
relative?
won't get the waivers.
So thank you
Wafers are
so
great.
much. Thank you so much to everyone who listened, who participated, and shout out to all of the single people out there. I hope you learned something.
I
So thank
disagree
you
with the
and good evening.
Thank
mathematical
you. We
computation.
Oh
learned
my,
a
I don't
lot.
want to compute.
All
Woohoo!
right. So thank you, Toastmaster
Fingers
Brad. That was a
club.
very challenging project, isn't it? Managing a difficult audience. So we'll
Audience.
see later.
Very difficult.
A very
Difficult and
difficult
single.
project. Yeah. So we will find out how Toastmaster Brad fared.
It's already
According,
hard to
yeah.
manage it, and it's also hard to be single.
Yeah. To be single at the same time. All right, so
Okay.
we'll figure out if which one is more challenging, to be single or to manage a difficult audience. All right. So now we're done with the impromptu speaking part and also the prepared speakers part. So we will move on to the second most important part of this meeting, which is the evaluations. So, for our evaluation portion for tonight, we have a leader in terms of the evaluation, and we are calling back our guest for tonight to lead the evaluation portion, the Toastmaster Marini Fernandez.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Grace and TME of the evening. And I really appreciate Supreme Toastmasters Club for inviting me. Shout out to Miss Baby for inviting me here as your general evaluator. And for tonight, I really love the club. It's so heartwarming and so welcoming. And I really appreciate all the gestures of fun, family atmosphere here in this club. And I really appreciate that a while ago when I really appreciate that the club was very allowing when I was in the car a while ago and like just came from a shoot, and it was just so, it was really like welcoming. Like I really appreciate this club. It's full of fun, and I was laughing my heart out a while ago during the speeches, especially with Toastmaster Bradford's speech. That was very interesting, very intriguing, and it was very interesting. So now I will be evaluating the before I evaluate the preliminaries rather, and the Toastmaster of the evening, I would first like to call out my fellow minions, my fellow evaluators in this. There we go. Okay, so let's first call our table topics evaluator. We have Toastmaster Florence to talk about and to give her evaluation on table topics, especially on the speeches of an impromptu speaking. So I'd like to call Toastmaster Florence to evaluate the table topics. Go ahead, Toastmaster Florence.
Good evening, everyone. So today, I will be your evaluator for the table topics. To start with, we have Toastmaster Emilyn. So, in your story, in your table topics, you were able to have a good voice structure, and your language was spot on, and the manner of your speaking was also good. So, I like your story with regards to you having to go to the United States and eventually going into church. That's the only time you were able to find what it was that you wanted, the direction that you wanted. That is with nation building. So if there was something that I would like for you to improve on, that would be to expound more on the closing. So I would have loved to hear more about you going into nation building into your business. So I found the pivot portion and the closing a bit shorter. I think overall your speech lasted around 1 minute. Okay, so for the next we have Toastmaster Gloria. So from the start, you were able to hook me with your very humble beginnings. And I really like how your voice was projected and the structure on you proceeded in sharing your story, telling us that sales was not really the direction of your college degree. But then fate would have you go into sales after college and then that engineering supply firm. And later on, having a classmate sell to you the Sun Life product, you eventually found your calling there. So, and then now you are here in your journey, having so many agents under you. Thank you for your story. I found very little thing to improve on. I think you spoke postura and making kulit with your classmate so that she would allow you. So remember, this is an English speaking zone. So I think kulit is
Did I say
fine. For that one. Yes. So bugging. I think bugging is the right word, but it's not even formal. So,
yeah.
but thank you for your story. It was very much appreciated. So next, we have Renz. Renz, you also performed. You were also able to tell your story in a good way. So in your story, what I understood was you applied for Aboitiz and I think even the Harvard. Sorry, I was not able to follow well, but your Harvard project. And then it was through hard work and trying again that you were able to achieve this goal. So congratulations to you. So if there's anything that I would like you to focus on, maybe it's your voice. So I really like your story, but maybe if you were to have a little if you put a little more power to your voice, I I the impact of your story could further. So lastly, we have our guest, Miss Marini. So I don't know what to evaluate here, but the story was really well. You were a natural storyteller. Maybe yeah, but it's also your job, maybe. But if there was only one thing that I took notice of, it was you. When you were trying to remember your story, you look to your side. So when you try to recall your past, it was noticeable in the camera. Aside from that, from voice to structure to language, manner, and timing, hats off to you. That's all.
Thank you, Toastmaster Florence. Was it Flo, rather? So,
Wow.
thank you for that extensive evaluation. If I may add on to Toastmaster Flo's evaluation for table topics, I would recommend, since we are in the theme of the stories tell, facts tell, but stories sell theme, and I would recommend Toastmaster Flo to evaluate our table topics master as well so that she can improve in her table topics portion of our Toastmaster meeting. So if I may suggest to evaluate our table topics master, I'll just add on. For Toastmaster Baby, who was the table topics master for tonight, I would have loved if she included the types of SMGs, preps, the types of formulas for table topics, so that our guests, especially, I think we have one guest here, or I think we're all Toastmaster guests. I'm not sure. But rather, just so we can be refreshed with that type of like formulas for table topics, especially for if we have incoming guests as well. So, nevertheless, that was a great job. Thank you, Toastmaster Baby, for that really great table topics portion, and for Toastmaster Flow for that extensive evaluation. Also, just a little bit, I'll just add on, since we're talking about story tell rather, and facts tell, it would have been to further improve your evaluation. I would have loved, I would suggest if you would talk about the transformation of the stories, especially the storytellers. And we do this a lot in film, but it's just a little tip that I would want you to bring home as well. So when you evaluate someone about their stories, we talk about transformation of story characters. So that's like the hero's journey. So for example, in movies, when the hero at first, or the person speaking about their stories at first, talk about their lives, and when they go to the middle part of the story, there's a certain transformation from that character. So in the end, also, there's also a resolution. So if Toastmaster Flo was able to talk about that transformation of the whole entire story, including the message and the personal universal message for that, especially in table topics, then that would have further improved your evaluation. But nevertheless, I really appreciate your evaluation. It's very straight to the point. It's very sincere, and congratulations, Toastmaster Floor, for that really extensive evaluation. So I'm now evaluating the evaluator, but nevertheless, I hope that you can take a thing or two from what I just mentioned today. So now let's move forward to our prepared speeches. So yes, okay, thank you for this. We have our first speaker. Our first speaker wasn't able to speak today, right? It was a second speaker. It was Toastmaster, I forgot. Was it Toastmaster Stephen? Okay. So let's call on Toastmaster Baby for the prepared speech evaluator.
Fellow Toastmasters.
Hello?
I'd like to ask Stephen.
Toastmaster.
Stephen, did you evaluate Emmeline?
He was late.
Is he still in?
Oh,
Is
okay.
He
is
So
wasn't here. He was
Toastmaster
supposed
Stephen
to
will
be the
be
yes,
evaluator.
evaluating Toastmaster Emmeline, right?
Emmeline, yes.
I
Okay,
only
okay.
came
Let's
at
have
the middle
Toastmaster
of her
Stephen.
He
speech.
was supposed to. Okay. Did you do the evaluation, Stephen? The floor is yours, Stephen.
No,
If you did.
I didn't do the evaluation because I was late.
Okay.
Evening, Emmeline. Emmeline, congratulations. This is your first speech in Pathways. They say that when you start your speech with a question, it attracts the attention of the audience, and you did. You attracted us with your how has your life changed and so on. It made us think, and you engaged your audience with that first statement. I admire your spontaneity. I admire your command of your English language. I know that you had lived in the US, that's why you're more proficient than the rest of us. It was very emotional. You touched us with your emotion, and you sent your message across that it was your trip to the US that changed your spiritual life. I liked some of the you had you had some gems, and you also the hand gestures were visible. And I liked it because you emphasized on friendship, on community, and you emphasized on how precious life is. I believe that the elements of our first speech was there. We were able to know you better. And I'd like to see you doing your second speech using the recommendation the I'm giving. The recommendation that I could give at the moment is just one, that maybe I suggest that you concentrate on the logical sequence of your speech. Everything was fine, but I believe that it will be better if you put the same things together in maybe three paragraphs about the different segments of your life. Of course you did, but uh, more so if it was very evident. So congratulations, Emmeline, and I look forward to hearing your speech with my recommendation. Good evening.
Thank you, Toastmaster Baby,
Thank
for
you, Miss
that
Baby.
very interesting and very sincere evaluation, especially for the evaluation of Toastmaster Emmeline. And she's a first, that was her first speech. And that was a very, like, that's just the kind of evaluation that I really love in Toastmasters, is that we are able to really motivate our speakers. We are able to really show our sincerity, our care for our speakers. And I really love Toastmaster Baby's evaluation, because it really talked about how she loved what she loved about Toastmaster Emmeline's speeches. And to further improve Toastmaster Emmeline's speech,
Mm-hmm.
Toastmaster Emmeline, if I may, I would have loved if if I may suggest just one takeaway that you can get from evaluation of Miss Baby, and which I can add as well, and that would probably be to have a clear example, to have a personal experience example in your speech. That way, you can further improve your
Mm.
message. You can further um, make
Mm.
your message more spread across towards your audience. So I really love that. And if you can, in your next speech, you can apply this to have a clear personal example about perhaps you mentioned something about let's live life differently, or that's your takeaway from your audience, that's your call to action. And if you expounded on that more, or maybe perhaps somewhere in between in your speech, that would have really pushed your speech to the next level. So congratulations, and I really commend you on having the courage to really to really give your speech. And congratulations also to Miss Baby for that very beautiful evaluation. So next
Thank
we
you.
have, thank you also as well. So next we have our next evaluator, which is Toastmaster
Friends.
Renz. Yes, to evaluate our speaker for tonight, to evaluate Toastmaster Bradford for tonight. So let's have it, Toastmaster Renz. Take it away.
What have we got from Toastmasters Bradford? Wonderful speech. Do you guys remember the three tips in finding the right one? Let me refresh you with that. First is to don't look at your best. Then second, how to pick the right one. And third, how to stay married. So what I liked about the speech of Toastmaster Bradford is that he was able to give us a very relatable topic, starting his speech with a question about the event or the celebration that we had last week, which is the Valentine's Day. And then he was also able to take advantage to use the rule of three, giving us those three tips, which made us to remember those things easily. And then I also liked how he was able to address the distractions, because I've met some people online who will be just shutting people if they will be speaking when someone is speaking. And he was also able to control his emotions when he was addressing those distractions. And aside from that, I have some points for improvement for you, Toastmaster Bradford. I have observed that while you're speaking, you have some inconsistent eye contacts. Probably you're you're managing your slides, and which brings us to the next point. In your next speeches, if you will be using presentations, probably you will have, or you could use visuals, more visuals rather than putting words on the slides on your speech. So in that way you will be able, because I know you have a good grasp of the core of your speech, and that way you will be able to focus more on engaging with the audience and then telling your story to the audience. And then you might also want to work on your vocal variety, because there are some points in your speech wherein you are in monotone. So you might want to record yourself and then probably listening to your speech recording, and then you will find those points so you can improve your next speeches. And then with all those points for improvement, I believe that in your next speeches, because overall you were able to give us a very compelling idea, very compelling insight about your speech, the the your ability to manage the audience was there. But if you will be able to incorporate those points for improvement in your next speeches, you will be able to achieve also three things. I'm sure in your next speeches you will be at your best, and then second, you will be able to stay committed in the Toastmasters promise, and who knows, in your next speeches you may be able to find the right one. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you for that very heartwarming evaluation of Toastmaster Bradford's presentation tonight. And thank you to Toastmaster Renz for that. If I may add to Toastmaster Renz's evaluation of Toastmaster Bradford, I would have Toastmaster Bradford, to further improve your speech and to make it more dynamic and more interesting as well. I would have loved if you were able to, how do you say this? If you were able to have that a little bit of lessen your actualies. So I was able to note, or maybe 20 actualies. So yeah, I think we can do Toastmaster speeches if we lessen that amount of actualies. But rather, I also, on the other hand, I loved your speech. It was very funny, it was very inspiring, and you were really able to, straight to the point, address your audience, and especially the distracting audience that would have been very intimidating at first. So you were able to address that. So I really appreciate that. So congratulations, Toastmaster Bradford, for that really wonderful speech. And
Thank
as
you.
for the evaluator, Toastmaster Paolo or Renz, I really loved your evaluation. It was straight to the point. It was very interesting, and it was also very beautiful. I really loved how you were able to motivate Toastmaster Bradford. You talked about how you loved about his speech, how you loved about his presentation, stuff like that. If I may suggest, Toastmaster Renz, I'm not sure if you went a bit over time, maybe a few seconds or something, but it's all right. No worries about it. I really, if you would want to compete in Toastmaster competitions in the future, I would recommend to really look at the time. But I think you were on time. I'm not sure. Let's look at the timer later on. And congratulations on your evaluation. That was very beautiful. Next, let's move on to my other friends from our grammarian and our counter and our timer. So let's welcome Miss Toastmaster Carmela, and then later on, please call the next person for the role. Toastmaster Carmela for the grammarian's report.
Okay. Hold on. Mm, I'll just remove the pin for you. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Marini. As the grammarian, my role is to take note of the gems and germs. Now, most of the germs that I took note of is the use of the vernacular. So I noticed at the beginning, in the middle, and some of you forget that this is a English speaking zone, as Toastmaster Flo already reminded us. So I heard pala, the expressions pala, po, I know, trying to be polite and respectful, but the English language do not have any equivalent for po. And then the use of na at the end, it's like how we call it konyo. And then I also took note of the many filler words, which is so. The use of so is very common. And also another transition word, another favorite is all right. And of course the classic okay. And you know, those are filler words that do not add value and just lengthen our speech, which adds up to the time, causing us to overtime. Now for the gems. The gems are mostly, I took note mostly from the table topics. So I heard someone say global citizen. Actually, there goes the actually, but it's the first time. Toastmaster Rans mentioned or talk about this global citizen in his speech, and also ascend my efforts. I love that. Instead of increasing my effort, you use the word ascend,
Stand.
and then create ripples of hope. I can just imagine the ripples there. And then Toastmaster Marini. I took note of this from her speech, the beauty of inspiring people through the power of media. Something to remember. So again, fellow Toastmasters and guests, our filler words do not add value. So how do we improve or lessen these filler words? I guess improving our vocabulary will help us use more impactful, more effective words that will make people remember our message. Back to you, Toastmaster Marini.
Thank you, Toastmaster Carmela. Please, I'd like to call the next person. Would you be the accounter, or is this the accounter already?
Another person has the
Okay,
role of an
I think it
accountant.
says Toastmaster Baby. So let's call Toastmaster Baby, and then Toastmaster Baby, please call the timer after you. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmela, for taking note of the filler words because I wasn't able to do it well. I will defer my report for next meeting as I see I want to look at the video of Grace, the recorded
Listen to the
video.
video.
I was not able. Yes, I'd like to listen to the video so that I can do a better a better report on filler words.
Okay. All right.
Thank
So
you.
my report is deferred to next meeting.
No worries. It's all right. So now let's call on the timer. May I ask who the timer is? It's not
That
here.
would be me again.
Okay, go ahead.
Right, so thank you. So time is important. It's a wealth that we cannot earn, but use wisely. For the table topic speakers, first off, we have Toastmaster Emmeline. Toastmaster Emmeline, you went under time. The minimum is 1 minute, and you only had 58 seconds. So probably you could improve on the pacing for that. Toastmaster Glow, you were within the time limit. You went 1 minute and 47 seconds. For Toastmaster Pau, were also within the time limit of 1 minute 31 seconds. For Toastmaster Marini, you within the time limit of 1 minute and 52 seconds. And for the educational talk, you finish it at 18 minutes. So, but before the extension, you were at 11 minutes. And then for the prepared speeches, Toastmaster Emmeline completed it at 3 minutes, and Toastmaster Brad, he was able to finish it within the 15 minutes time slot. For the evaluation of paired speeches, or sorry, for the evaluation of the toast table topics, so Toastmaster Flo had an allowance of 6 minutes, but she completed it at 5 minutes 45 seconds. And then for Toastmaster Baby, as the evaluator of prepared speech, she finished at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And Toastmaster Pau, you completed at 2 minutes and 55 seconds. So again, time is precious. Let's use it wisely. Back to you, Toastmaster Marini.
Thank you for that extensive evaluation, Toastmaster Carmela. And here in Toastmasters, it's really important for us to take note of our time. So, as the general evaluator, I'm not sure if I'm given time. Usually, it's an infinity. So, yes. So, now let's evaluate the preliminaries. And I believe for the preliminaries, the Sergeant of Arms was there to present the House rules, and I really appreciate that. If I may talk about a little bit about we were kind of like over time with the starting of our meeting. Yeah, sorry, we were late in our meeting, in the start of our meeting. I think we were 8 minutes late, if I remember correctly. And in Toastmasters, it would be best if we stick to our 7 p.m. So we start at 7 p.m. But I understand that there were some roles that weren't there yet, right? And also for the introduction of the president, I believe that was Toastmaster. I forgot. Toastmaster Carmela. Yes, Toastmaster Carmela. I appreciate her introduction of the president. It really was heartfelt, and it. If I may suggest, maybe to add, I'm not sure if I was I was able to hear it properly, but to further talk about the president more, and especially since she's the TME of the evening, it would have been best if we talk about a little bit about her, or something more interesting, something like an interesting fact about our Toastmaster of the evening and our president, Toastmaster Grace. So I think that would help our audience, especially for tonight, to be able to learn more about our Toastmaster of the evening. So with that, let's move forward to the call to order. And Toastmaster Grace was also the one doing that. And I believe she was able to take a lot of roles tonight. And that was done really spot on. It was very perfect. It was yes, as a president, she needs to do the call to order. And then next we have Toastmaster Baby for the invocation. And I really appreciate your club for having the introduction about before you do the prayer, because usually we have a prayer. You were able to really talk about um, our higher power, our God, and stuff like that, like why we need to pray and stuff like that. I really appreciate that because it really helps us go back to our source, to really go back to why we continue to do these Toastmaster meetings. So next we have the Pledge of Allegiance. And this is the first time I actually learned about this, because in our Toastmaster meetings, we don't have the Pledge of Allegiance, but rather we go straight to the Toastmaster Promise. And it's very interesting to hear the Pledge of Allegiance for a Filipino myself. And since I am already like no longer in high school or grade school, we don't do this kind of Pledge of Allegiance. So it's very interesting to hear it from your club. So I really appreciate that. And it's very interesting as well. So next we have deferred Toastmaster promise. I would have I think someone was able to do it. Might have heard a Toastmaster promise. Were we able to have it? Wala, wala.
Oh, no, no,
Okay,
wala.
so we weren't able to have that. But I would suggest to have a Toastmasters promise every time we have a Toastmaster meeting because we are in Toastmasters, and it's also nice to hear the Toastmaster promise because it really helps our guests feel like they want to join Toastmasters, because Toastmasters goal and mission and vision is really to help our guests with what they want to get from Toastmasters. So that is, aside from public speaking, it's also to be able to motivate our speakers to evaluation, give feedback, and at the same time respect and integrity and our Toastmaster promise. So I would have loved to hear the Toastmaster promise. But nevertheless, I really appreciate that part of the preliminaries. And next, we have the acknowledgement of guests, which was done by our Toastmaster of the evening, Toastmaster Grace. It's very interesting to hear the acknowledgement of guests in a way that Toastmaster Grace did it. I would have loved if Toastmaster Grace, rather, had a survey. Google Forms. You can actually have Google Forms survey, and that way, if you have guests from other places and Toastmaster guests from other places as well, you're able to get their details. So for guests, you can get their contact details and you can contact them after the meeting. So I would suggest having a Google Forms where you can send the link inside the chat during the before the Toastmaster program starts. So when the guests come and when we talk, like stuff like that. So that way you can contact your guests afterwards. And you can also write in the Google Forms that how you want the guest to introduce themselves, or how you want them to be introduced, and then what are the little like interests that they have, like stuff that we usually do in Toastmaster meetings in person. So you can incorporate that in Google Forms. And yeah, I think that's it. And so next we have, before I evaluate the Toastmaster of the evening, I will evaluate first the light moments. This is very interesting to me, and I really appreciate the club for having this culture of light moments. And the light moments includes the word of the day, word of the night, and then the anything goes and the educational talk. So for the word of the day, for word of the night rather, or word of the day, it was done by Toastmaster Carmela, and it was done very, very interesting. I forgot the word.
Esoteric.
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 Yes.
Yes.
It was slightly esoteric, but not really. So in a way that the meeting was done in a more high training kind of way, in terms of like it was very interesting, but it wasn't really esoteric, meaning confidential. So I like how it wasn't an esoteric meeting because it was very fun, it was very welcoming, it was very light and interesting, and it had that really interesting um, environment and culture. So I really like the word that you chose. It was very interesting, Toastmaster Carmela. And if I may suggest, to be able to relate our word of the day to our theme, which was tell your story, I would have suggested if Toastmaster Carmela had perhaps a more in-depth relation with the theme of the night. So a word that can relate to the theme of the night, so that the guests and our Toastmaster audience can also feel the theme inside the word of the day. So that way, other than that, it was a beautiful, very interesting, not esoteric word of the day. So congratulations, Toastmaster Carmela. So now let's go to I believe we had a relaxation portion of light moments. So that was probably the different photos of places. It was done by Toastmaster Gloria, was it?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay. So that was the first time I've ever experienced a relaxation portion or a light moments portion before we start the educational portion. And that was a very interesting topic and very interesting light moments portion, because it was very fun, and it just gave that spirit of like lively, fun family atmosphere in your club, in Supreme Toastmasters Club. So I really appreciate that, Toastmaster Gloria, for thank you for sharing the different photos. I hope I won. I'm just kidding. I
You
don't know who
did.
won.
You did.
I did? No way.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
so
did.
wow. Okay, we can talk about that in a while. But like it was very interesting, because a lot of the places I've been to, so it's very interesting to listen to look at the whole stories of different photos of the Philippines. So to see the different places and hear their stories as well inside this Toastmaster meeting. So it was related to the tell your story theme. So I really appreciate that, Toastmaster Gloria. Thank you for that. So next we actually have our Toastmaster of the evening. Oh, by the way, before I do that, I really appreciate the educational talk that I was able to give a while ago in Supreme Toastmasters. So it was very interesting. It's the first time I've ever heard uh, Toastmaster meeting with an educational talk. That way, especially if we were able to invite guests, they can have that feels of learnings as well. Learning more other things other than Toastmasters evaluation, feedbacks, prepared speeches, something different from what we learned from Toastmasters, so that we can also encourage our guests to really join our meetings, to really join our club as well. So I really appreciate that. Thank you, Toastmaster Baby, for inviting me as your educational talk. So that was a first that I've ever done in Toastmaster meeting, but it was very close to the topic. It was very needed, very much needed here in our Toastmaster meeting, because we also need it for our meetings as well outside of Toastmasters. So I really appreciate that. So now I am kind of over time. I'm not sure if you guys end at 9, but I will finish now. So I will now evaluate our Toastmaster of the evening, Toastmaster Grace. I really appreciate
What is the
your
rope, really?
Grace, yes. Toastmaster Grace, is she still
Some.
here? Oh, okay. It's all right. If she's not here, oh, she's
She's
here.
here. She's here.
Yes, yes. Um, I really appreciate your sincerity, Toastmaster Grace, and your allowingness, your spontaneity, your being able to practice your um, Toastmaster skills. Because I realized that I noticed also that before I did the educational portion, or the educational talk rather, I asked for 5 minutes because I just arrived from the car to the hotel room. So I really appreciate that spontaneous plan B for being being the Toastmaster of the evening. You were able to move forward to the next topic, to the next portion of the Toastmaster Toastmaster program. And that was it shows that you are a very skilled Toastmaster Grace. So I really commend you for that. I also love the whole theme, the culture that you bring to the whole Toastmaster program. It was very, again, I say the word very, it's kind of like a filler word, but I really appreciate it. And it was really beautiful. And it really showed how skilled you are as a Toastmaster. And also, for yes, for the first part of the Toastmaster meeting, I know that it's not part of Toastmaster Grace's portion, or it's probably the tech team if you have a tech team. But I would have loved if the tech team played soft music in the background. So when we entered the Toastmaster meetings, we're welcomed with music. So music may be related to the theme, or music may be related to anything. So anything goes, and that way we won't have much dead noise. So it's more relaxing as well to have music before that. So I guess it's not really part of Toastmaster Grace's job, but as a president, I really recommend that having soft music in the beginning of our meetings would really help relax our guests as well. And as for the first part, also, I would have loved to. I think it was good now. Sorry, not would have loved. I I loved the whole culture again. I keep saying it, but I really love the whole culture of Supreme Toastmasters. It really made my night, and I just came from a really big shoot today, and coming to your club was very, very relaxing to me. It was very interesting. I really loved the whole atmosphere, so thank you, Supreme Toastmasters. And I guess that's it for my general lengthy evaluation. So back to the Toastmaster of the evening. So thank you again for having me.
All right. So thank you also, Toastmaster Marini, for spending a part of your vacation with us. And thank you. And let's give everyone, let's give Toastmaster Marini a big round of applause. Thank you so much. And now we have come to the end of the meeting. And yes, we only have a few minutes left. So I won't have any other announcements aside from one. Our winners for tonight. So Toastmaster Glo, can you please announce who our winners are for tonight?
Thank you, President Grace. The winners are the following. Marini have 6 correct answers. So with Cheryl, our
Yay.
guest for tonight. And of course, we have another 2 winners. These are the following. Mela and Baby both got 5 correct answers.
Ella.
So 4 winners for tonight, and everybody will receive a 200 G cash. Okay, so 200
Oh my God.
G cash. So please send your GCash number to President Grace. That is
He doesn't have
courtesy.
Gcash number.
You
I mean,
don't
he doesn't have G.
Baby doesn't have
One,
GCash.
Flo.
It's okay.
We'll create.
It's
I
okay.
can
We'll
get
just
yours.
send you.
I can claim yours.
Yeah, that is
Guys, let us
courtesy of Supreme Toastmaster. Thank you, President Grace. But I don't mind, I don't mind sponsoring the prizes. But Grace, graciously offered to, give and get it from our club funds. So congratulations to the winners.
Flo, you are now the perpetual anything goes master.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Glo. That was a very exciting anything goes. And we know now that every time Toastmaster Glo is the anything goes master, there is an exciting prize. All right?
Yeah.
So thank you again, Toastmaster Glo. And lastly, last announcement, our next meeting will be on March 2 next week. So please, for those who haven't delivered their speeches yet, I encourage everyone, Toastmaster Baby. We haven't heard, we miss you delivering a prepared speech. So hopefully
Yes.
we can hear from you and also from other members as well, Toastmaster Stephen and Toastmaster Chato and Toastmaster MJ. All right?
Can I interrupt,
Yes.
President Grace? I'd
Yes.
like to let you know that there is an invitation from Sultan to have a joint meeting on March 2. Would you agree
Oh,
to
yes.
on
Same time?
I'm not very sure of the time, but March 2 with Sultan. Have you visited to Sultan?
I think not yet. But yeah, I think we
Because I was inviting Orly to Gob to be
Oh,
our GE, but he recommended, having he suggested
joint
a
meeting.
joint meeting.
All
I
right.
will text you about the time. But are you agreeable, guys, to have a joint
Yes.
meeting with
Yes,
Sultan?
I agree.
I don't hear any yes, only from Grace.
Yeah.
Yes na yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes.
Marini.
Okay, so before we end, also I'd like to again hear a few words from our guests, starting from Toastmaster Pau Pinion. Would you like to share us your feedback or your thoughts about our club meeting for tonight?
Thank you again for inviting us here as an evaluator. I think I also love the culture because it's like an extension of our club. So I felt like, I mean, I am expecting to feel that I will be OP out of place tonight, but I didn't. So it feels like I'm still with our club. So I think this is a good culture that is being promoted in the Toastmasters network. That even though you're not from you do not belong or you're club hopping, you can still feel the how each club welcomes you, and I really felt that tonight. Thank you everyone, and again, it is really my pleasure to be one or to serve as one of your evaluators tonight.
Thank you, Toastmaster Pau.
You,
And just to let you
Pao.
know, feel free to visit us again next time. All right.
Sure, man, sure.
The last, I'd like also like to invite Cheryl to give us her feedback about her thoughts about our meeting for tonight. So Toastmaster Cheryl, hello, are you still there?
Hi, Cheryl.
Hello. Okay. So one last call, Toastmaster Cheryl. Any feedback about our meeting for tonight? Any thoughts?
She's still she's still in, but she's muted.
Okay. All right. So no problem, no worries. Also, yeah, so that we're about to end, and thank you everyone who fulfilled their roles. Who for everyone who, for example, for Toastmaster Chato and Toastmaster John, who still kept on signing in despite the technical difficulties. So thank you, and glad to see you here again. And also Toastmaster MJ, later once the meeting is over, we will upload the link. We will upload it online so that for everyone who missed Toastmaster Marini's talk, you can still view it from our you have our YouTube account. All right. So without further ado, that's it for our meeting for tonight. So if we do not have any more concerns or announcements, I will now close the meeting. So by the power vested in me by Toastmasters International and by my club, Supreme Toastmasters Club, this meeting is now adjourned. And before we go, one last request is for a picture taking. So Toastmaster Carmela, can you take lead in the taking of the photos? So everyone, please show yourself.
Hold on a minute. I'll just prepare.
Interview.
Yep. No. Because mine is not
I mean
Apple.
gallery view pala, sorry.
Yeah.
There it is.
Okay. All right. So ready? 1, 2. Let me send that. Sorry, I can take one photo at a time only. Unlike if I'm using Mac. Okay, one more.
Brad, show yourself.
Where's Brad?
It's
Oh,
now
Wag
hi
pa
dating.
naman
MJ.
ngayon.
Okay, ready. Wacky.
Brad is now dating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ready. One, two. Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
I
thank
like
you.
the photo of Flow Now. And then MJ,
All right.
Chato, you're maybe Marini should check our photos now.
Yes. All right. So hopefully, please remember the tips that were shared by Toastmaster Marini, so that next time when we evaluate or when we get evaluated, please take note of these tips about camera projection. And of course, our theme for tonight is tell a story. So don't forget or don't be afraid to tell your stories so that we can be more connected. All right? So that's it for tonight. Good evening and see you all again next week, March 2, same time. Good night, everyone.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Brad.
Toastmaster Marini.
Toastmasters.
Yeah.
Brad, you look
Toastmaster
different.
Marine,
Thank
I
you,
have this.
Marini.
I have
Appreciate
this.
it.
I cannot use
Thank
it.
you, everyone. Good night.
Oh,
Yes.
you need a USB
Splitter?
split. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
can
do
get it for
have
like
it.
100 pesos.
I do have it, pero it didn't work. Ewan ko ba?
Then try a USB splitter.
For
Oh,
this.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, okay. I look at it in Shopee.
Hey, excuse
Okay,
me.
you
Thank you.
still
No
there?
worries.
Excuse me. Guys,
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm making a speech project. I'm preparing for a speech project. May I know who are for the vaccine? Yes to vaccine and no to vaccine. Who are the yes to the vaccine? Yes
Yes.
to vaccine, Carmela, Miss Baby, Miss Marini, Miss
Me,
Chato,
Miss
Miss
Baby.
Gloria. Wow,
me.
all are. Who are against the vaccine? No to vaccine.
MJ, Miss Emily.
No, I
Emily,
like the vaccine.
Oh,
Emily.
okay.
I am approving of
No
it.
to vaccine as
No,
in you will
actually,
not get
the
vaccinated.
question is what vaccine do you want?
Oh no, Sinovac is the
Any
best.
vaccine, any vaccine. So who's the no? Who's the no?
Ako,
Gloria?
hindi ako
Okay.
not just any vaccine. Ako, I don't like
Who's the
Sinovac.
no? No to the
Yeah,
vaccine. No to
really.
vaccine.
I
Emmeline,
think
Miss
we
Me
will
too.
ask
Emmeline.
a call from
Okay.
Dean.
So
Because
maybe next.
Emeline is, ano marami siyang products na,
Only
ano
Emmeline.
siya.
Only Emmeline.
Pro-life si Emmeline.
Only
Emmeline
Emmeline is
is
no to vaccine.
pro-life.
Okay. So I'll be
Okay.
preparing my speech. It will be a panel discussion. It will be 20 to 40 minutes. Wow.
Wow.
So many here are for the vaccine. Okay. So I'll be
Okay.
preparing
Adjourned
my speech
already.
project.
Yay.
Yes, it's all John. Okay. Thank you. Thank you
So,
very
Thank
much.
you. Bye-bye.
congratulations, Brad. You look
Congratulations.
different now.